Here comes Denise.
I'm not seeing it on the library website.
You might have to control control F5 to refresh the page.
Maybe to refresh, yeah. And Katie, there is usually a little bit of a delay on the website.
Yeah, it's telling me it's still not available. Given that I know that there's some people who are trying to watch it, I just want to make sure we didn't begin until they actually can see it.
Okay, and there is on that page a link to the Facebook page as well. Okay, now I see it on my end. I see it live there. Are you seeing it live on my screen that I'm sharing?
We still see your minutes, like.
I see.
Oh, okay.
The minutes, and it's not coming up for me on mine. Let me tell them to go to Facebook.
Good. So this is
It's definitely on mine. I can see it on Facebook.
okay.
Yeah, I was on the library website.
All right. And can you see the library website that I'm sharing now that has the meeting there?
Okay. Okay, I won't
All
worry.
right. So I'll stop that and. Yeah, it does. It is the case that it lags a little bit.
Thank you for
You're
checking.
welcome. So I think we're all good to go then, Frank, if you are.
Is Denise with us?
She is, yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, then. Welcome to a regular meeting of the Saratoga Springs Public Library Board of Trustees. It's December 13th, 2021. This agenda looks rather short, so we might not have a long meeting. The first item of business is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of November 2021. Did anybody have any questions about that? I had one. I think it says on the public comment period, it says that the Friends of the Saratoga Springs Public Library memorandum will be attached to these minutes.
Okay, I'm not sure what that means. So I'll follow up.
I'm not either. So I think we should either strike it or attach them in some fashion.
You know, and the other thing that I see now is that it does list Minita Sangvi as absent, but I believe that her resignation was in effect prior to the meeting.
I think that's
It's
right.
and so I don't know how that should appear in the minutes, whether she should be marked as absent or not.
I don't think she should, because she didn't have an obligation to be at the meeting.
And her resignation is indicated in the president's report on the minutes.
Okay.
So if maybe we just take that out, the reference to Minita
As absent.
and the reference to the the attachment of the Friends
Public comment.
memorandum.
There are links though at the end,
Uh-huh.
and I don't know if that's the memorandum that's referred to. Way at the end, there's a box that says
Oh, okay.
website
It's-
addresses with links to PDFs.
All right.
That was my understanding, that was the memorandum that was attached.
All right. So maybe it's just a vocabulary issue. So it's a report rather than a memorandum, but it's a report in the form of a memorandum. So maybe it's a semantic issue, right?
Okay, so we'll keep that reference then.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Thanks for pointing that out, Heather.
Okay, then with just the change regarding, Manita, taking out Manita's name, are there any other proposed changes? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll move, Terry.
And
I'll
this,
second, it's Heather.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, okay. Next up, the approval of expenditures. Approval of the November prepaid checks, 69535 to 69536, totaling $429.75. And approval of the November warrants, checks 69539 to 69620, totaling $142,424.46. So
Yes.
so there was just two things, because I don't, sometimes it isn't clear. There was a $5,000 charge for a pump on the warrants.
For which?
Check 69557.
I think it was a heat pump.
Yeah, it was a heat, failed heat pump. So Rick, I don't know if Rick has anything more to add about that.
That was one of those digital pumps that was on the boiler system, and it's super high tech. And that failed after approximately 18 months and not covered under warranty. I got a quote to repair it or replace it. And it was much easier just to do a complete replacement. We will get the pump repaired, but at this point in time, parts are the issue.
Not cheap. The only other thing I was going to mention was under the visa charges,
Yes.
Ike.
Yes.
And I assume those are like travel expenses or something.
No, actually the majority of the visa charges this month with those two in the 2,000, the 2,600, the 2,800.
Yeah.
Those were for buying air cleaning machines to expand, to have those placed in more of our meeting rooms. And the fastest way to get them, the only way to get them really was to pay in advance or put them on the Visa card. So we did that. And you'll notice, maybe not this month, but next month's income report will show those corresponding expenditures in the income. The Friends are making a donation to offset the cost of those.
Oh, did I read that in Rick's report?
I think you did read that in Rick's report, yeah.
Yes, and we got free shipping and there will be no cost increase incurred by us, so.
That's great. Okay, thanks, Ike.
You're welcome.
Okay, so that's the expenditures, the prepaids and the warrants. I make a motion that we approve the expenditures as listed.
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Then we're up to the approval of the financial reports, which include the prepaids and the warrants from November, which we just did, and the budget report and the income report.
And I don't know if there are any questions about that. The only unusual thing I think that you may notice is a difference in the tax income for November. You'll see that that is higher by about $5,500. And what that is our payment in lieu of taxes from the County Development Agency. And then the other thing is the Bicentennial Book Fund donations. You'll see there's a book that was published about the Bicentennial of Saratoga that is the proceeds go to the Friends of the Military Museum, and they occasionally give us gifts from the proceeds of those sales. And this time that helped to offset the purchase of some historical materials for the Saratoga.
So is that the military museum like directs some of the money our way?
Correct. Yep. The Friends of the Military Museum.
Oh, the Friends of the Military.
Yeah.
That's very good.
And Ike, is that usually the way that the county piece is held each year to reimburse us that way through the tax?
It is. I mean, it's accounted for under taxes, even though it's separate from it. You know, it's related, and there are a handful of businesses they change periodically, but they're through the development agency. There are some businesses within the school district that get this tax abatement for a period of time, and it can change as new businesses come online or as old ones. The tax abatements expire. And so what they pay is sort of a portion of the taxes, the non-abated portion. There will be a little bit of a change in this. You might see next month is that they actually, like through an accounting error, overpaid us a little bit in the for pilot funds. So we will next month. You'll see. I believe it's next month, be reimbursing them for the overpayment, about $500. There was a miscalculation and they paid us.
Actually, that's in the that's in the warrants this
it is
month.
in the warrants this month, right? So
Yes, that's this month.
Right. And what they did was they paid us twice for one of the tax abated businesses. There
Okay.
it is. It's that $668. And so that's what accounts for the miscellaneous expenditure this month.
So I don't see anything unusual in the budget report. Unless you thought there was something I
didn't, and I don't know if Eric did.
No, nothing unusual.
If there are no other questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the financial reports.
This is Katie. I'll move to approve the financial reports.
This is Heather,
Carrie,
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Reports are approved. Next up is the president's report. I have nothing particular to report. Do we have
Could
any?
I, Frank, I just want to ask a question. I don't know if it would come under the president's report, but the question of replacing the board vacancy, and you and Katie were serving as nominating committee.
Yes,
Is there any movement on that?
there is. I've reached out to a couple of people, and I know that Katie has. I believe we have someone is viewing us tonight. Actually, someone who's thinking about gauging their level of interest. I don't have anything concrete yet to report, but I spoke to someone that you suggested the other day, and I'm going to be circling back to her in the future. But I don't have anything more concrete than that, Terry.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to know where
There's something.
where that issue was. Thanks.
Yeah, okay. Do we have any public comment? Or correspondence and communication?
No.
Would take us to the director's report.
I didn't know if there were questions about my written report, but I did just want to fill you in that we are moving cautiously forward. Each time we plan to make a step forward, there seems to be something in the news or pandemic related that kind of rewards I think our slow and steady approach toward doing this. Now with the Omicron variant and hospitalizations increasing, we do still believe that we are capable, and we're moving forward toward, after the beginning of the new year, opening the building for our full 70-hour per week schedule. So expanding our hours, those extra 2 evenings a week. So we'll be open Monday through Thursday, 9 to 9. And then as we do that, slowly reintroducing some services that have been on pause, including bringing back some in-person programming with limited capacity in the meeting rooms and in the programs. Indoors, it'll be the first time since we had our sort of experiment with the book festival, and with reopening meeting rooms for public booking, again, with limitations on the capacity for the rooms, and expanding teen room hours for an extra evening a week. We're holding off still, given the health situation, on bringing children's programming indoors, since that's a segment of our population, which we know is still, most of that clientele is unable to get vaccinated and not necessarily the most compliant when it comes to masking. So we're holding off on bringing our youngest folks indoors for programming, but for teens and older folks, we will bring them back inside in a limited capacity and do a mixture of Zoom-based programming and in-person programming, and hope that by spring, we'll be able to expand that even more. We had been following, and we continue to follow, the CDC guidance, which is specific about people indoors in Saratoga County in indoor public places should be wearing masks. We had been following that, and then, as you know, the governor's new executive order requiring that all places where people gather indoors in public require masks went into effect today. My understanding is that is going to be re-examined in a month, in January. So we'll continue to follow what the governor has to say, along with what the CDC has to say. So I don't know if there were questions about our reopening status, but we are still making slow and steady increments and looking to expand a bit after the holidays.
Are we in compliance with our own plan?
We are. So the difficulty with we are in the sense that the plan has built into it that we can modify it as we go, or that you know, when there is a need for a change, that we can make that change on the fly. Where we stand now is that there is a section that does need some modification, and that's the section that ties our reopening to the metrics that were laid out in the cluster action initiative, which has since been mothballed, for like archived by the state, so it's no longer in effect. And so there was a portion of our reopening plan that tied, you know, how we would move through those stages to rates that were to infection rates that were outlined in that plan. That plan is no longer in place. So what we are doing now is following, and there is no other plan with hard and fast metrics that replaces it. So now we're sort of flying without a net when it comes to metrics. So we're very closely monitoring the other guidance from both the state and the county health department and the CDC in terms of opening, closing, et cetera.
What's the state of the COVID dashboard? I mean, it looks like it's changed a bit.
It has changed pretty substantially. I mean, we used to be able to track the 14-day average positivity rate. It's still there, but it's reporting metrics in a different way from how our plan was originally laid out. It's still there. It's a little bit difficult to interpret sometimes, and it seems like what is becoming a better metric that more places are following, but that no plans apart from the masking guidance at this point are following, is hospitalization rates rather than infection rates. And that cluster action initiative was written. I mean, it makes sense that it's not in effect at the moment because it was written before there was a widespread adoption of a vaccine. And at one point we had hoped that having a vaccine would provide some clarity for us in terms of decision making, but now with new variants and with resistance, it actually adds another layer of complexity when we had hoped it might add a layer of simplicity to things. So.
Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome. Then our HR update, in terms of an HR report, I'm hopeful that this will be my last one to give to you directly for a while, and that Kelly will do this in the future, but it is my pleasure. She's here this evening to, you made an action to appoint her last month. She hit the ground running. We had, we've already had some interviews. We're looking closely at staffing up for these extra hours that will be opening in January. And so I don't know, not to put her on the spot, but I don't know if Kelly, you just want to say hi to folks to introduce yourself to the folks.
Hi, everybody. Very glad to finally be here. Nice to see you all virtually.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you so much.
And one of the folks that we have had interviews for, because Kendall Jeter has had a change in his status, he's stepped back from his full-time position and will be working for us on a very part-time basis going forward. So we do have an immediate need for building monitors. And as I think Kelly hit the ground running, we interviewed shortly after she started, I think within that first week that she was here. And we have a request to appoint Edward Scallo to library building monitor position. So
I move that the board appoint Edward Scallo to be library building monitor part-time.
This is Katie. I second that.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Ike, I did, and maybe this is too soon, the Saratoga room, do we have an opening?
We do have an opening imminently, actually at the end of this month. Lori Weiss will be retiring from the Saratoga room. As it stands now, there is a librarian to eligible list from civil service. We are still having some internal conversations about, from the people who were canvassed on that list, there were very few who actually responded in the positive that they would have an interest in that position. There aren't many of those folks who have the qualifications that we would look for somebody to be in a local history specialized position. So we're having some internal discussions about how we move forward with that, whether we hold off on it or whether we take a different tack with. So there is a vacancy imminently, but it's not likely to be filled imminently.
And do we have any immediate plans for the assistant director position?
Not yet. We haven't had a chance to really have discussions yet here about what the division of labor might be with that position, like what the reporting structure might be.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I don't know if there were any other questions about my report here.
Like, I had a question.
Yes, Kate.
About the strategic planning document
Yes.
that you are working on, where you're all at with that.
We, as usual with these things, we're a little bit behind. We have all of these ideas on paper in various different formats, and we're working to wrangle them into one format that we can all agree on. We actually have been following the plan in what we're doing, but haven't yet come up with the format for documenting that to make sure that we're on track with the progress. But we do anticipate we have heard back from the consultants who are eager to meet with us to help us with that process to make sure within we had hoped to do it before the end of the year. I'm not sure that that's going to happen before the end of the calendar year, but it will happen likely and hopefully before the January board meeting.
Okay, great.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Department reports. Jen Ferris.
Hi. I'm taking a stab at potentially what could happen with our strategic plan reporting. I'm making it all up, but it's better than just showing a table of statistics. If anyone has any questions, I really don't have much to add. Today, though, we did have to add to sustainability. We had an office and program supply swap where people cleaned out their desks and closets and brought stuff into the community room, and we've got a lot of stuff. So hopefully it gets put in an organized central location after this is over or finds some good new home. So I might have more to report on that later to see if we can call it a success or not. So.
Well, I know that Kelly went shopping there today and got plenty of supplies for her office.
What is LEAP?
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I used like a technical term in there. So LEAP is our software that we use to circulate materials. It's the company that we use, which I'm just going to keep calling them Innovative Interfaces, is the software company, but they were just purchased by someone else, which happens. It is their web-based version of the software that we're using right now. So.
Sorry.
All right.
No,
That's a good question.
that is a good question.
Sorry to sneak in that word.
And the other thing is that on the screen now, which I think is great news, is that we had been a repository for people to bring in batteries for recycling, but then we were unable to find anybody who was willing to take them after a while. But it seems like there may be new sources for that, at least for recycling the batteries that we're using in-house. Jen, do you know if we're going to be able to offer that to the public at any time soon?
We can discuss that. I have no problem doing that. Even if we offered it just to our staff, it would be a great program because we all have batteries that we prefer not to put into the landfill.
And then here's the library guide to libraries and sustainability, to which Jen has contributed. So congratulations on that. and it's released.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Catherine? Catherine here?
Sure. Not too much more to share than what's in my report. I think what you'll notice is the librarians are trying to be really creative with their children's programming, especially. They did story time outside for about as long as I think you could. Towards the end there, you'd start to see the little ones get really, really cold. But there are some plans for some snow fun and some snowshoeing and things like that. So we're not completely done with outside. Sarah's even working on another scavenger hunt. So we're doing more kits and we're just trying to keep people engaged. We get a lot of feedback from families about how much they love what we're doing. I included a couple of those notes for you. So I think we're constantly trying to come up with what can we do to keep people engaged. And, you know, even though we can't always have them here the way we wish we could. So.
And a thing that we recently reintroduced in the children's room is that I don't know if you've been in lately to see children display their collections in the library. There's usually a long waiting list for kids to bring in their collections of their prized possessions to put them on display in the library, and those are back, and they are a blast to see if you get the opportunity. And I believe that we're working toward doing something similar for grown-ups to display some of their collections in the library as well.
That would be
There's some
nice.
Beyblades in there right now if you like Beyblade.
Oh, Beyblades, right. Remember those? That's
Yeah, we used to have them all around.
okay.
Yeah. Jen O?
Hello. So I don't have a whole lot this month. There's been some programming, but not a whole lot that's new. I did want to give a shout out to Caitlin, who has been doing the Lib Guide for Season's Greetings, and she's still accepting things. So if you have anything that you want to add, we can still add those. But a nice variety for this year. And couple of grants that we're working, or excuse me, that we applied for through Saratoga Arts. So we're hoping in January, we'll find out if we got those. One is a continuation of our collaboration with Create Community Studios. And the other is with a wind group called Quintocracy Winds, who will be doing a new musical score to a silent film. So we're looking forward to those. And lastly, I just wanted to mention, I know Ike said about doing some in-person programming in very limited amounts. We still have been getting requests for computer classes. So we're going to start doing, like, dipping our toe into the water with those, with just some really, really small class attendance and for things that people have asked for quite frequently, like Word and Excel and things like that. So that's on the agenda for starting in January. But that's about it, unless you have any questions. Folks are just reading some interesting things and working on catching up on other projects this month.
Caitlin always seems to be reading something very interesting.
Yes, she does. She does. Yeah. And a nice variety of things too. Yeah.
Well, if nobody has any questions, thank you. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Rick?
Well,
Rick here?
yes,
There he is.
it's a pretty simple report. I really don't have much to add at this time. I'm waiting on the city to give me some more information on when we can change our parking lot lights to LEDs. And we did have an issue with our their short pole lamps along the Henry Street ramp. We need to change those over, but as of yet, our local electrician has not been able to get here to give us the quote. And we cannot get the ballasts we need to fix them. They're no longer made, so it's time to fix it once and for all. Other than that, if anybody else has any other questions, I'll try to answer.
I just wanted to say a special thanks to Rick in this forum for soldiering on in a situation where we are particularly short-staffed in the operations department with Kendall's departure and then with departure of a cleaner and some other short staffing issues in the operations department. Between Rick and Dan and the guys who are here, they've done a great job. So thank you, Rick.
Thanks for stepping up, Rick. I don't have any questions for Rick. Does anyone? Thank you, Rick. Okay, old business or special committee reports. We talked about the nominating committee. Old business, reopening status. I could address that. And then we have the suggested changes to the bylaws. So this was we approved it last time around. It would accomplish two things, these proposed changes. It would eliminate the finance officer as an officer, as a board officer, and it would explain, really just it's a reflection of what the law is, how vacancies are filled, just so it's clear and it's right handy in the bylaws. If for any reason we want to change these later on, if we feel like we do want a finance officer, or we find a function for the finance officer, one that I don't think anyone's kind of put their finger on yet, we could always amend the bylaws. It's not written in stone. But that said, does anybody have any other thoughts about these proposed changes to the bylaws? If everyone, I'm going to move that we amend the bylaws to include these changes, which we approved last time regarding the finance officer and the procedure for vacancies occurring on the board. I'm going to make that motion.
This is Katie. I second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries and the bylaws are amended, still amended.
And so Frank, my understanding is now that that's the second vote to approve those, then they're in effect. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
New business, we've appointed, I don't think we have anything else then, do we?
No, I think we're all set.
Okay. Thank you all very much. Have a nice evening.
All right. Thanks, Frank. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Happy holidays.
Oh, yeah, happy holidays.
Bye.